Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today, we are thinking about planting a tree you will never sit under. That is a thinker. And luckily, I have Rex here who's going to be helping us think about this in a whole new way. So, thank you so much, Rex, for coming onto my show, sharing your time and your perspective with me. Let's just dive right in. When you hear those words, planting a tree you will never sit under, what does that make you think about?
Wow. Good first question. Um, I actually used that line in one of my teaching videos on my YouTube channel. It is in order to understand the your place in the universe, in order to understand the reality of yourself, it behooves you to understand how I'm beginning to sound like word salad, but it behooves you to um, understand what it means to sacrifice self, to give up self in um, in the pursuit of leaving the world a better place than when where you found it.
That
Now,
is interesting.
the in order to do that, you have to have a firm grip on what self is.
Hmm.
You can't give up what you don't understand or can't find within yourself. The I'm a Kabbalist. Um, I've been involved in most of the world's religions, and the thing that I've come away with most often is the nature of the self, and that self is the root of all of the evil in the world.
Hmm.
Um, Now, some people say that the improvement of self, the evolution of self, is a solution, and I don't think so. Most of the religions that I've studied have told me that it's the subjugation of self, it's the recognizing the truth of self, or the actual elimination of self, which I don't think is possible because self is who and what. How you go about doing that is understanding who and what you are.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Yeah.
we are not. I want to go back to the Bible, if you don't mind, the Old Testament, because it illustrates my point. Um, Talks about the waters above and the waters below, separated by a firmament.
Hmm.
Um, this is a Kabbalistic um, metaphor that illustrates the higher self and the lower self, and the dividing line between the two, or the firmament, being Maya, illusion, the devil, whatever you want to call it. This is all part of you, and it keeps you separated from the truth of your higher self, which is that you are not part of God, you are part of God's creation. And when this sojourn is over, when our um, experience here is done, and we move on, the only thing that's left, according to the Buddha as well, there is no transmigration of a self. What does carry on are your thoughts, words, and deeds, and these comprise the stream of karma, or cause and effect. And it's the thoughts, words, and deeds that affect the people around you and the society in which you live. And to understand that, then you get a glimpse of only the person who is able to sit under a tree that he's planted and realize that he's never going to be able to sit in the shade. And I butchered that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. I think you brought on a lot of great context so that we can really think deeply on what it really means for ourselves because when we, let's say, if somebody is very aware of gardening, it takes time to to turn a seed into a vegetable or a plant or a flower or a tree. You know what I mean? It really does take time. And the saddest thing now is that we are living in a world where we are seeking instant gratification, instant reactions, instant um everything, instant repercussions, instant everything. And it's hard when we have to realize like time is only an illusion of what we don't even understand. Like our concept of time is not the real way of what life is actually operating on because we believe it's like, oh, it's 24/7, 24 hours in a day. You know what I mean? This is all that we have is today. But then people are like, no, we have right now in this moment. And then other people are like, no, far future, far off, far beyond. You know what I mean? So it's just like there has to be this equal ground where we just have to be present and in the moment and realize what you do, how you think, how you act, how you move about in this world is what creates that importance. You know what I mean? So it's just like this conversation, like we were talking about before we got on to and started recording. These are seeds that are going to be marinated and planted and grown into whatever that it is for whoever that is listening. And it's to just about creating something more of what we already know because we have so limited perception and so limited understanding of what's happening around us, but there's so much knowledge available and accessible for us that there's so many people just choosing to live in ignorance because it's just so much easier. So for you, do you think ignorance can be helpful or can it truly be harmful?
um, Ignorance is I've got that goes along with my concept of free will. If you take a a little rubber ball and you hide it behind your back and you put it in one of two hands and you hold it out and you say pick left or right. Um, let's say you pick the left one and I open it up and you see that it's empty. Okay, let's try it again. I reach behind, I bring it out, and you pick the right one and I open it up and I see that it's empty. And then I go, they're both empty. Well, what did you do with the ball? I dropped it behind me. So you had option A and B, and you didn't know about option C,
Mm-hmm.
which proves that you can't choose what you're not aware of.
Exactly. Yeah.
So um, that calls into question free will and gets us thinking about free will. But the planting of the seeds and looking for that immediate gratification. It's funny how the immediate gratification also goes along with in today's society self improvement, self aggrandizement, um, self awareness. Everything is centered on the self. And the more we do
Mm.
that, the worse society gets.
Yeah, because it's like we're going into this individualistic mindset. And I keep on saying, like, there's this movement going around where it's all about me, myself, and myself. And it's just, we're not realizing like we live in an earth that doesn't think about itself. You know what I mean? It has
Mhm.
natural flows of water, natural flows of wind, natural flows of current, natural flows of life, living and beating and comprehending with it. It's like the movie Avatar. You know what I mean? They go to this planet and they realize that the trees are connected. The trees are talking. The animals are connected. The animals are talking. They all are connected in one way or another. But we are missing the point. Earth is the same way. We are all connected in one way or another. And I don't think a lot of people even realize the importance of you existing and living, me existing and living, and how we as a human and humanity, we all need this community. We all need each other one way or another. And when we continue to think about me, myself, and myself, we don't realize that we are removing other people that have an impact on ourselves. Because, like you said earlier, you if you didn't know option C was available, then you don't know of option C. You don't think of option C. You only think of A and B. And in life, that's why I say common sense is not common because we are not taught everything to survive the same way. Wherever you may live, you were taught how to survive your environment and your situation. And I was taught to live in my environment and to survive my environment. And if somebody lives in a jungle, they're going to learn how to survive the jungle. If somebody lives in an island, they're going to learn how to survive the island. But it's not going to be common when that person from the jungle goes to the island or goes to the desert. And the way that they move through that environment is not going to be the same the way that they used to move in the other environment. So our ways of dealing with things are not always going to be the same. And I think that concept of normal really needs to be changed because there's no such thing as one one plain label of normal because normal is whatever that you are used to. You know what I mean? So it really
Yes, I
does
do.
change the way that people need to think about this. So it's like for you, what does leaving a legacy, what does that make you think about?
Leaving a legacy. I'm not really interested in leaving a legacy. That that bring that brings a very dark form of ego into play. Um, I don't want to be remembered so much as I want the next person to walk the earth to be a little bit freer. And I don't need him to owe me any thank yous or reverence. Um, the important thing, the most important thing for me as a teacher to do is those seeds that we talked about.
Yeah.
Um, now I'm not concerned with when they sprout, if they sprout. Like Jesus said, those seeds are planted on a rocky ground, fertile soil. Some of them sprout, some of them get eaten by the birds.
Yeah.
That's not up to us. That's up to the
Yeah.
flow of cause and effect or karma
Mm.
or the
Yeah.
will of God. You can put it that way as well.
Yeah, yeah. I like the way that you said that because it really does take away yourself as that selfish mentality. You know what I mean? Like, I need my kids to remember me. I need my kids to know that I did this for them. I need them to know that I struggled and I only came out with 2 cents and I still made this business. Like that need can truly drive somebody crazy. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's a topic that people really even think about when they think about a legacy. You know what I mean? Because when they think about a legacy, they think about all these positive contributions in the world. Then it comes down to that egotistical mindset. Like, where are your reasons? Why did you really plant that tree? Why did you really make that bench? Why did you really start that park? Why did you really do it? Was it for the kids, really? Or was it for yourself, knowing that, oh, I did this and they're going to remember me and they're going to know my name? You know what I mean? It really takes away from that realness that people need to step into.
The once you take out of it, you can um, you can't eliminate the self, but you can put the self in its place. Or as Jesus said, "Get thee behind me, Satan."
Yeah.
I see you. I can't get rid of you. I can't get rid of temptation of engaging in self, but I can see it for what it is and put it behind me. Put it
Mm.
out of my area of um, how I react to the world.
Yeah. 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 Because at the end of the day, we need to be in this understanding of servitude. You know what I mean? If we service one another and just leave our mark in that manner, then that's all that remembers. I don't have to remember your name. I don't have to remember exactly what color shirt you wore, but I do remember that you told me to keep going when I felt like I was unable to go, then that's what I'm holding on to, those words. You know what I mean? Something so simple as just saying, keep going to somebody that looks down and distraught, that changes someone, you know what I mean? And that takes
Mhm.
them away from their self as well, because they remember that I'm not doing it just for myself. You know what I mean? I'm not going for work because I have bills to pay. I'm going for work because of the family that I have to support, or, you know what I mean? All those, whatever the reason may be, I think we really do need to just remember like ourself is who we are. It's a part of us. You know what I mean? We're with ourselves all the time. But it's like you said, there's no real way of eliminating it, because if once we eliminate it, I mean, isn't that the point that we kind of meet death? You know what I mean? Because we're no longer in existence anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Um, which brings me back to a point of how a person relates to creation and whatever viewpoint of God that he has.
Yes.
If you have,
Yes.
if you say that the creation or life, let's say life, is a vast ocean, and some people identify that ocean as God, and we are all drops from that ocean. So we are. It's very easy to take the next step and say that we are part of God, and to take the next step from that and say that we are gods in our own right. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but if you think again about the waters above and the waters below and that firmament that separates, and then equate that to a bubble
Mm-hmm.
that forms around a drop of water and is floating on the ocean, and
Mm-hmm.
we feel separate, we feel distinct within that bubble, and we think
Mm-hmm.
that once that bubble bursts, we will merge back into the universe. We will merge back into God.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, what we are is the film of the bubble,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes away. And then the spirit goes back to the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like your interpretation of it. I don't think, excuse me, I don't think a lot of people understand that concept, because we as humans, we have placed God in a position where he's either as like man, and or he thinks like man or acts like man, or you know what I mean, or we portray our hurt and our pain because of men or humans, and then we put that on God as if he does the same way, he acts the same way, or whatever that people do to have their vengeance against God. And it's like, well, it's because it's how you see God, you know what I mean? And and I even wrote a quote about that and shared it on my socials about that, how our interpretation of God truly does determine how we view life in general, ourselves, and who we are as well. So it's like we have to have that identification and knowing that we are not God, and we are not part of God. We are a creation of God, like you said earlier. And I think that's a real thing that people need to remember. Like, we were created by God. We are not God. You know what I mean? So it's just like, but I think it's like this superiority complex where we feel the need to feel entired, and we feel the need to feel more, because to be just a mere human is like being an ant, but not realizing that ants have so much power within themselves. But because we see them as so tiny and we can squish them in a little pinch, that they are useless. But if that's the case, then so are we, you know what I mean? And to think of that is just, oh my goodness, I can't think of that. That would be baffling, oh, how dare I? But it's like we have to realize like we are just another creation, just like anything else that's on this earth, just like the birds were created, just like the plants were created. All of this was just created. And once we accept the fact that we are human, we can realize that, oh, humans have so much that we can do. Humanity can do so much in this world. We can impact other people's lives in such a great way. We can truly be of service in a way that is anonymous, and bless people in a way that it can change their whole entire life. Or if we allow our egotistical mindset to get in, it really disturbs what the real purpose of that service is for. You know what I mean? Like, for those people that for example, that want to supposedly help a homeless person and give them food, but then they have a camera in their face and like, oh, hi, say hello to the camera. I just gave you some food. Blah, like that's not helpful. You know what I mean? That's not helpful. And if you ever been homeless, the last thing you need is a camera in your face saying, oh, look at this guy. He's homeless and now he needs food. So I am giving him food out of my hard earned money. You know what I mean? That doesn't make the situation any better. And I don't think people realize that. But man, Rex, time is catching up to us, and I am sad because time is catching up to us. I feel like we could keep talking about this in different avenues, in different ways, because it's so deep, and people need to start thinking more on a deeper level of life and stop living on the surface and getting blown with the wind because they can't think deeper. So I appreciate this conversation and how deep we were able to get it. But what can be some lasting words that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
Um, I would say that there's a prayer that I say every morning. Father of all things, unknowable is thy true name. Uh, the name representing the nature. We don't know it. So holy and unknowable is thy true name. Thy will is absolute. It cannot be denied. And so I ask for nothing, but instead give thanks, opportunity to experience the glorious unfolding of your will for one more day.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. I mean, that's beautiful because at the end of the day, God wants us to be humble. You know what I mean? And that humbles us all over again. You know what I mean? We are just humans and we are not owed anything in this world. But for anything that is given and everything that we have, I mean, that is true thankfulness to have that heart of gratitude, to practice the gratitude muscle and to build it up so that you can live a life of just appreciation and awe for what it is because life is amazing. Oh, life is truly amazing. And when you allow yourself to have that gratitude always right there, you are able to really truly appreciate life and humanity for what it is. And it's beautiful. It really, we are a beautiful creation. We really are. So it's just like, man, these are true words to keep us all thinking. And ladies and gentlemen, if you guys enjoyed this conversation as much as I did, because I know I did, go check out his YouTube channel. He has so many great contents on there so that you can continue on thinking, so you can ask yourself these deep questions, so that you can get out of your mind of this egotistical, independent, I don't need anybody mindset to I'm here to serve, I'm here to exist. I'm here to just be present because that's all we really need, at this point. So please continue on thinking, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.